Hello, welcome back to Doing Bart Things, and today this is Bart, and I'm going to go on a rant about ASUS. I cannot believe the video that Steve just put out on Gamers Nexus. Wow. So let's hop into it. Yeah, ASUS has really fallen off the the wagon here. They have absolutely just made a complete mess of this CPU burning up situation. So the big issue with them is their motherboards, their AM5 platform boards. I'm not sure exactly which ones, but maybe a lot of them, specifically the more expensive ones, which is what's super irritating, are not displaying really inside the settings the correct voltage. The voltage that they are displaying is lower than what is actually being, I guess, used, and so they are a prime candidate for what's causing a lot of the burn-ups of these CPUs, these X3D CPUs, for example. Technically, even non-X3D CPUs could be impacted by this. And their response is the main thing that has been the problem. Their response essentially was to panic release BIOS upgrades that then say things like, this voids your warranty for using this BIOS, but it will fix your issue potentially. It is insanity. I wanted to spread the message, and I also want to, even if one person who happens to have an ASUS motherboard sees this and then they go and check out Gamers Nexus's video and kind of get educated on what's going on, I think it's super important because for me, ASUS was a brand that way back in the day, we're talking the 440BX chipset days with like Pentium 3s, Pentium 2s. Like, gosh, this is so far back. Those CPUs and chipsets, my first choice was 8-bit, and then when 8-bit went out of business after that, I really became a fan of ASUS. They seemed to take a lot of those features and carry those on, even though 8-bit was gone. And I sort of was a bit of an ASUS fan at that point. Like, a lot of their boards seemed to be decent quality. They seemed to have all the settings I liked at the time. Carry on over to today. My PC building obviously slowed down dramatically as parts just got more and more expensive. And also my professional career took me in a direction that was more managerial and less technical in a way. And I was extremely busy, had kids, all the life happened. So I basically, like I said, big time slowed down on upgrading all the time. I'm sort of now just kind of getting back into it, and I'm not really even getting back into it for myself. I actually don't game that much. But I have a decent number of friends that will every once in a while come to me and say, hey, what's the thing to build out there? I'll even help them build machines and whatnot. And that's kind of where I sort of started to get back into the swing of things hardware-wise. In addition to a couple of years now, I've built my own machine. It's a 5800X. But the thing is, what's funny is when I built my machine, I didn't buy an ASUS motherboard because, frankly, ASUS charges too damn much money. They just are expensive. Everything's expensive, but there's a thing that me and my circle of friends call the ASUS tax, which is like if you want to buy a equivalent chipsetted equipped motherboard that has ASUS on it, you're going to pay a little bit more money. They are a quote-unquote premium brand. Well, this is some of the biggest scumbaggery that I have seen in a while. And I don't know if it will allow me to show you. Oh, it's going to play a commercial. Sorry about that. But basically, if you look here, you'll notice it says, please note that this is a beta BIOS, blah, blah, blah. Like, here it goes. Like, it fixes this. It's the AGISA 1.0.0.7. So it's going to, quote unquote, fix some things, right? It adds support for 48 and 24 gigabyte high density DDR5 memory modules. I mean, so it's fixing stuff, quote unquote, but oh my god, this is a beta BIOS. Like, you can't download this or you will in fact void your warranty. AMD has come out publicly and stated that if your CPU burns up in this manner, which is basically literally just turning on Expo for your memory and motherboard feature, it basically allows the memory to run at the frequency it should. And because of the way that AMD's Infinity Fabric works, if memory serves, this is really important. Like, you're going to lose performance that you should otherwise have if this is not enabled. And that's where it gets really contentious with me, because essentially what's happening here, and Steve does a great job of explaining it, but it's sort of like if you had a, let's say, a 4x4 truck, right? And it's got all these modes already baked into it. One is like extreme off-road, and you go, oh sweet, and you turn that on and the truck immediately dies. That would be like the manufacturer of that truck going, well, no, we're not going to warranty that. You idiot, you're not supposed to turn on this switch. Why would you do that? You offered it. Like, it's there. It's supposed to be turned on. By not turning it on, what was the point of me buying this extreme off-road 4x4? Like, and it's insane, because if you look at the price of some of these motherboards, like, here you go, $660 for this Crosshair Extreme Hero, which I believe is, yeah, Crosshair Extreme. Like, it just, I'm sorry, like, it's literally the meme of, what's his name? It's the Jackie Chan meme where he's holding up his hands to his head, like going, what? You know, no, like, you can't do that. And then basically say, well, the fix is to download these beta BIOS that will then void your warranty. You know, trying to do anything they can to distance themselves from any sort of liability in this, right? For these motherboards are super expensive, have all these controllers and all these power phases and all this ability to quote unquote control, and it's not worth crap. Like, it just, I cannot believe ASUS, I'm just sort of incredulous that they would do this. This is the height of scum and douchebaggery right here. And frankly, my next build, I'm going to make sure that not a single part is ASUS, period. GPU, motherboard, case, cooler, fans, nothing. Like, there's not going to be a single. I was looking at getting an ASUS monitor, and I think maybe I want to rethink that. I think that they need to feel some pain from this, and I really hope that the DIY market, even the laptop market, like anybody who's looking at an ASUS product right now, rethinks that, because man, this is sus. This is super sus. And he goes on to say, like, so another part of the story is Gamers Nexus reached out to some users who had their stuff actually fail. Their processors overheated, melted. I said overheated. Well, yeah, they overheated, but they failed. Like, they had that catastrophic failure. ASUS was trying to bribe them to not send their stuff to Gamers Nexus. and Steve's got the receipts on that. He's got the threads, and basically while it wasn't explicitly said, it was like, hey, if you want another product from the ASUS catalog, we might throw that in for you if you'll just send that back to us instead of sending it to Steve. And that is, it just, here's what the frustrating part is. All ASUS had to do was come out and say, yes, we acknowledge that there is a problem. Here's a very basic BIOS that you can go and install that will really cut things down if you want to use that to be safe. We don't believe that your equipment should fail, but just in case, if you're really concerned, you can go and get this BIOS. Otherwise, keep rocking on, and we will upgrade with a decent BIOS when the time comes. Then number two, if anybody has a failure, we will do our best to support you and to replace any broken hardware from a setting that we are responsible for on our motherboard. That's it. All they had to do. All they had to do. I'm just speechless at the really underhandedness. And I knew that this video was coming. The previous couple videos where they talked about the actual failure and stuff, which I thought about making videos on, but I decided not to because it was just very technical, and I don't exactly have a huge viewership, so I wasn't sure if anybody would actually go into that. But again, if anybody is looking at an ASUS motherboard right now, now to be clear, this only affects AM5 motherboards. So this is not an Intel issue. This is not a AM4 issue like for the old 5000 series Ryzen chips. This is a AM5 X670, probably B650 maybe, issue. Okay, but the problem is these extreme motherboards have all kinds of controllers and things on them to combat this sort of thing. There's a massive failure in quality control, in my opinion, because it's I don't know why these motherboard manufacturers, period, just what they want to do is when it's a default deal, they just shoot all the power that they think any chip in any scenario could need, and it's very disconcerting, honestly. And this is the most extreme version of that, and it's come back to bite them in the ass. And they want to try and void people's warranties and distance themselves from any responsibility. And even though it's just on these specific products in a very specific area, just the scumminess of this, I don't want any part of anything that's got the ASUS name on it until I see them fully respond, backtrack from this, and make it right, is what I want to see. So time will tell. At any rate, go watch this video if you're worried about your ASUS motherboard and kind of get the full story on it. This is just my opinion, I would probably not download this at all. I would just wait, because technically, I guess if I'm reading this right, if your stuff blows up but you don't have this new BIOS that was supposed to fix it on there, then they'll warranty your stuff, apparently. So I would say malicious compliance is what I would go with in regards to this. Like, okay, well, I didn't download it because it said it was a beta version, so replace my stuff is basically the way I would approach it if it does happen to you. It's not a very common thing, I don't think. It's not like I'm expecting a run of a bunch of failures tomorrow, for example. This is just crap, man. This is just not the way to do business at all, and ASUS should really pay the price for it. I really expect better from a company like ASUS. So anyway, that's it. That's my rant. That's my old man rant. But I think it's really important, though, for those that have AM5 motherboards from ASUS, that they see this because this could potentially impact you. And if you were like, oh, this is a new BIOS version, and you didn't read very closely that this may come with complications when trying to return it, then I think you deserve to know. And you also owe it to yourself to go watch this video that Steve made, which is great, and learn the truth about what they're doing. So anyway, yeah, $660 motherboards, $1,000 motherboards, $700 motherboards, crazy expensive hardware that is not doing what it's supposed to be doing, and you have a manufacturer trying to weasel its way out of supporting, trying to lay the blame on somebody else, trying to act like it's not their fault. Good times. Thanks, guys. Thanks for listening. Pretty soon, again, I hope to do some different videos, but this is one that I felt was really important to hop on and just talk about. If you like and subscribe, thank you again for being able to stand this decidedly low rent production, and we will see you guys in the next one.